Hey there, folks. Thanks for tuning in. So I have a rare opportunity here. I have no one in the house. Folks are at a birthday party, and LSS just dropped a pretty big article with a lot of info, and I thought I would have some fun, go live, and interact with y'all. So please, somebody at least let me know that the sound is coming through. It's coming through. At least my stuff tells me it's coming through. But I'd love to hear from you all out there. So let's go ahead and move over to, that's right, the Hunted Primer. So this is their sealed primer, and we've got a bunch of spoiler cards in here. So we'll scroll down through all of the stuff with the assumption that the vast majority of people here understand combat chain and how instants and traps work. But we've got some interesting stuff here. So let's just go in order. Tag the target. So this is a new spoiler we've seen here. And this is what I find very interesting about this one is that it is not draconic. So any ninja can use this. Tag the target. When this hits a hero, mark them. Go again. So one would assume, again, this is a common, so one would assume there's a full rainbow. 3, 2, 1. Be pretty much right on. It's like his head jab. I mean, there's no. I mean, I suppose there could be a combo. I doubt it. But again, it's not combo, which is interesting. So do we think that I guess I'll ask you out there, do we think that means anything? That this isn't combo? I find that to be very interesting. So lay low, we've actually seen lay low. If you're marked, you can't play this. So again, it brings us back to that question of how hard is it to mark folks? And I think that's where, the discussion primarily more than anyone else, I think if we were to order them in terms of a parent caring about being marked, it was Fang the most. I think Fang the most. And then because of fealty, right? It's not that Fang's cards that we've seen so far actually cared about folks being marked, right? And in that case, it would be the assassins, but Fang needs fealty more than anybody else, or at least than Syndra does. So I think that was my logic there. So I think Fang the most for marked, then assassin, because assassin can just play all the stealth cards, right? So I think that's fair. Yeah, so Jarek could be a combo starter. I'm thinking probably. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I mean, there's nothing saying that it couldn't be a combo starter, but I agree with you. So going back to my argument here with, I think Fang cares the most about marked. Then the assassins, and Syndra, at least out of the gate, appears to care least about it. So it is interesting. Now, obviously, they're talking, this is a limited primer. So this article is written from the perspective of a limited primer. So that's why they're talking about Fang with 2 Obsidian Firebanes. I still don't believe that in the end, Fang will be dual wielding Firebanes. I don't think that'll be the thing. I think he'll likely be on Quicksilver Dagger or some other dagger, maybe. But I just can't imagine, right? Because Obsidian Firebane, again, I'm sure it's going to be fine. But you have to do it on that link to get the go again and +1. So, and right, then your fealty tokens can give them, but don't worry, he's going to have plenty of draconic reactions, which we're seeing. So this is not a reaction that we're opening with, to be clear. But this is Sworn Vengeance. I think we could have all written the script on a card like this existing. Next dagger attack, it's +3, and when it hits a hero, mark them. I think we all assumed something like that was going to come, right? This makes a lot of sense. However, you're still counting on, obviously, with Obsidian Firevein, putting that in context, you're still counting on that having a react to play, which shouldn't be that hard to do, assumedly, right? But remember, this is the red set. Your dagger costs 1. You'll need a red. So, or you'll need a react. I mean, not a red. I mean, you can do it off blue too, but I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't think this surprises anyone. What is really awesome, so Endear Devotion, there's a couple things going on with this one. So first off, it's a rare. Endear Devotion, for 1, target dagger attack gets +3. So it's on curve. It is specific to dagger. If you control 2 or more Draconic Links, create a fealty token. That's pretty huge. This not being a common, I think, I don't know. I mean, I in the grand scheme of constructed, I think that's not a problem. I find it interesting that it's not a common, more so that I care from the commoner standpoint, more than even the limited standpoint. But the fact that this is a rare means there's not going to be that many of them in your pool, right? So, being able to straight up, if we're being honest, how many times do we actually, like in limited, how many would we actually expect Fang in limited to be able to pull off his ultimate? Probably not, right? So that's fair, I guess. It just seems to me odd that the 1 for 3 seems very fair here because it just poops one out. It seems very fair here, but like, yeah. So Cuzco, this seems like a bomb in limited. Yeah, I agree, right? I mean, but there's going to be, in theory, I was going to say in theory there'd be a rainbow of this, but that's actually not necessarily true because Uprising very much had arcs of just certain colors. So actually, I take that back. That may not be true. But man, that's very interesting. I still would have liked to have seen, and don't worry, we'll get one. But I still would have liked to have seen some zeros for him. Some like 0-3 reacts. I mean, he's got to have them, right? Hey, Sloop. Let's go, my man. Hey, Sarah. All right, now let's go to Syndra. Because this first card... So there's only one card we haven't seen from Syndra so far, which is Burning Blade Dance. So Nathan Speck says Indira is only coming red. You must have figured that out by the set numbers. Yeah, I hadn't done that research. I mean, that makes sense. All right, so Burning Blade Dance. If you control 2 or more Draconic Links, this gets Go Again. And when this hits a hero, you may have target dagger you control deal 1 dagger to them. Damage to them. Damage dealt this way, daggers hit. Destroy the dagger. That's a whole standard thing. I will say, just this night, it still bothers me from a syntax standpoint. All of this writing is technically English correct. Like, it makes sense. It does bother me from a syntax thing that they put the destroy the dagger at the end. Because even though that's not proper English, it does imply that someone could read this to say that you only destroy the dagger if it hits. Whereas if they said, when this hits a hero, you may have target dagger you control deal 1 damage to them, destroy the dagger. If the damage is dealt this way, it is hit. And then there's 0 confusion, right? So nothing is wrong at all. It's just that it could have been written better, in my humble opinion. From the card database to show what colors. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I didn't look it up in the card database. So they revealed them immediately at the same time. Interesting. Also, shout out to Hamal. Wow. Getting some people in here. If you need your singles, that's the man to go talk to right there. All right, so we had already seen Art of the Dragonfire. I think this one's pretty good. We will see if Brand Cinderclaw is reprinted in this set. I'm thinking probably, but maybe that'd be too good. Maybe that'd be too good. All right, so let's go down here. We've got 2 new major hits. Actually, we'll talk about one other card at the end here, but we've got 2 new ones for our assassins. So we have Reaper's Call with stealth, but you can just discard this as an instant to mark target opposing hero. I actually wonder if everybody's not going to have, because this is a pretty, is it sense? So heavy hitters had the cycle, right? The wind-ups. We definitely had the, the discard to do something, either prevent damage or gain life in Rosetta. I actually don't remember if Mistveil had something. I don't think it did, actually. That's fair. Either way, I could see this very much being a cycle. I think that would be reasonable, right? Looks like the amount of Draconic class cards is going to be pretty small. Yeah. So this is pretty good. Yeah, and that's a great point, right? That this actually turns on roll the dice or spin the wheel or Arachne, whatever you can, random Arachne. That's a good call. That's a good call. This is very good as an instant, and it still blocks 3. So cheers. This card is crazy, and I do want to point out this card's a common. So, commoner, all about it. Mark of the Black Widow. When this hits a marked hero, they banish a card from their hand. Holy crap. That's good. That's so good. Oh, I don't even know what more to say there. Like, that's just straight good, right? Razor's Edge. You can be talking to your local like people trying to get as many Razor's Edge rainbow foils as you can get. I actually only have 2. I need to get on top of that, actually. My goodness. Try and make your trades. So one card I do, they talk about all the different spiders here. Let me see if I can get this pulled up here. I think it's this one, and then do that. There we go. Yeah. So let's talk about these two, because we also saw Orb Weaver Spinneret come up last week, and oh man, Cusco, that's a good point. If they do come in blue, that'll be interesting. Maybe somebody can check the database right now and see if all these new cards do come in blue. Actually, that's fair. So Orb Weaver, this says equip the celery token, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I absolutely love this card. And we'll talk about that more tomorrow, I guess. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm really excited about that as well. So those are all the new cards we've seen, but these are like pretty big. Yeah, the Orb Weaver card is huge, like absolutely huge for so many different. So Hamal says it does come in blue. That's very relevant. Very, very relevant. Mark of the Black Widow comes in blue and Reaper's Call. Oh man, so you could run Rainbow Reaper's Call. So I think that answers a lot of our, if that's true. So we're making 2 assumptions. So, well, Reaper Call does come in the rainbow. He confirms, which is awesome. So if we make the assumption that each one of the heroes has a cycle, that's potentially 6 cards or 9 cards to which you can just chuck for a mark. I think that answers a lot of our concerns. We would have to obviously, like later on, do the math, like in a constructed environment, if a card is worth a mark with the benefits, probably, but I don't think we have the data with which to make that statement yet. But is a mark worth a card? Actually, let's do a poll. Why not? Is a mark worth a card in constructed? Well, I can't spell at all. So we'll see what y'all think about that one. Man, Mark of the Black Widow seems so good. So good. So yeah, this card is the one that I've got my eye on the most. Because do you remember we still have Hurl. Hurl costs you 1. This one is effectively Hurl's a rare, by the way. This is a common. So this is going to be quite frequent. I mean, I think that makes sense because again, remember her daggers blow themselves up. Let's go look at her daggers just to baseline someone who maybe hadn't seen that. But her dagger comes for 1, but then blows it up. So, I mean, it makes sense that you're going to have common availability for the chuck, right? To be able to flick it. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I expect we'll see more of stuff like this, and they may not be ninja only. They may be, and maybe that's it for ninja, but I think assassin's going to have some sort of flickability too. I think. To be fair, they're actually, to be fair, Mark of the Huntsman has a built-in flick of sorts. Have a good one, Sloop. Yeah, so I guess actually that's fair. I guess for assassins, they kind of have a built-in flick from a certain point of view that you have a built-in way of getting rid of them. So that's fair. Yeah, it's just I'm really happy to see stuff like Orb of the Spinneret. I know I won't do it again just because it's too many clicks. But what's interesting about this, right? If we go to Orb Weaver, there's a non-attack that does what Orb Weaver does. So how cool would it be if there is effectively a non-attack that does what each one of these does as well? Because I think that addresses one of the concerns I talked about before, which is either random Arachne's not going to work, or there's got to be some way to choose into whom he morphs into. So if you have these non-attacks that let you behave as that certain spider, I think this then works better. I mean, I don't necessarily know what that would look like for all of them. I mean, I suppose you could have a non-attack that says whenever a dagger you own hits a tier this turn or something like that. And then it would maybe be a react. So I suppose you could... Anyway, it's just a thought that like having this arc of cards that would probably be all red in this set that fits into like what the spiders do. So, you know, I also thought that Cusco... So Cusco's asking, I wonder if Flick Knives gets a reprint. I also thought that myself. My guess is probably... I was thinking originally yes, but now I'm leaning towards no. We've very consistently seen that LSS leans in future design. They lean pretty hard into areas that were maybe underutilized in the past. And I've definitely said in the past that I thought that the whole dagger package from Outsiders was not maybe recognized as much as it could have been. So I think we're seeing that now. And I think that that's maybe an LSS thing of trying to reward their old, I'm not going to say old collectors, but they're people who sat on stuff. I think they try to do that very much intentionally, make old pieces good. I counter myself, though, with I was really excited to see Shock Charmers get some love in Rosetta, and Shock Charmers never really went anywhere. So Filippo, I don't like this expansion. I don't like Uprising and Dynasty 2. I'm expecting Demonastery. So yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think that this isn't going to appeal to everyone. I do think this set has potential to be a lot weaker and not be well received especially because I mean, we all know what Mistveil's doing right now. So we'll see how well received this set is in 6 months. But I think it's going to struggle. I think Syndra will do a good job in keeping Enigma at check just because it'll be so many like ones. So I think that'll help. And then the flicking, I think that'll help keep the ward off. But I can't see Syndra being net better than Zen, but he'll be, I mean, shit, Zen's going to be gone by what? Minimum week 2 of RTN, I would have to say. And probably even before that. Yeah. Well, but yeah, summer's 6 months away is what I'm saying. Cusco, but I get you. So, I don't think we paid enough attention to this. Like, this card's really freaking good. I'm actually surprised this is a +3 with what it does, actually. So it's a block 2. I guess maybe that's where they make up for it. Because that's pretty atypical to see a 2 block on... Well, I guess actually that's not true because we saw like the shared one. So the warrior reacts in heavy hitters that produced tokens. Those were actually block 2s. So actually I take that back. So this would actually fit that mold. Yeah. This is good though. Like just pooping out a fealty token is straight up good. Yeah, wow. What a good card. This not being draconic. Interesting. Anyway, that's that. It felt like there was when I was going through this the first time, it felt like there was a lot more going on. I guess it's only a handful of cards, but I think this is actually a pretty big deal. The Assassin, Ninja, Reaction, Outsiders were 2 blocks. Yeah, it's just my point was that's not atypical for Ninja. It's atypical for Warrior. Like basically Warrior, like their thing is everything blocks for 3 for the most part, right? So, all right. Let's see how our poll's doing. So right now, y'all are pretty split. It's 58% no. Interesting. So just slightly no. That's very interesting. 41% yes. Is a mark worth a card? No. Yeah, I would. the benefit needs to be pretty good, and the benefit would need to be more than a card. But then you're using a card or something to get there. So that's very interesting. All right, folks. Well, I think actually that's it. Like I said, I thought there was actually a lot more to talk about here, but these new cards are very interesting. This is actually, is that the most interesting card? Marked feels like it's going to end up like Wager. Leroy Jenkins. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, actually. That, I mean, they're not going to do like another set to support Marked. We've seen like a handful of Wager support. I think it's just Betsy's card, right? Betsy's card from the last set. I think it's the only Wager we've seen outside. I believe that to be true. I do believe that to be true. And I don't think you're going to see a ton of Marked, but you know, if Marked comes out and it ends up being very power heavy, which it doesn't seem to right now, but obviously this is spoiler week, right? Oh, speaking of, I would like to remind you all that my spoiler is coming out on Wednesday. So Wednesday the US, Thursday New Zealand time. It's Thursday New Zealand time. So I'm shooting the gap. It's coming out on Wednesday US, New Zealand, Thursday. So about 48-ish. No, that's bad math. 72-ish hours. Sorry, my bad. So that should be good. All right, I think I'm going to sunset this. I want to thank, how are we doing? We have, 66 of you crazy kids just hanging out? Oh my goodness. Well, cheers. Like I said, I had a break and all the stars aligned with no noise in the house, so it was the only time I did that. But cheers to you all. Thank you so much for joining. And as always, my friends,